So before we start, good morning to all of you guys over here. So it's the third consecutive day that we have been doing this campaign.
No.
And before we start, is like we are going to point out something. Mr. Chandana, you have this chisel in your hand on the table over there. Chisel, yeah, this one. No, don't keep it down. Just show it. I want to point out something. Can you just pass it over to me, this chisel? Because this is really not only chisel. Yeah, both of the things actually.
Yes.
Yeah, no problem. So I can just point out some things that we have to actually know. It's better. It's a good thing. It was like you bought it over here. See, if you can see over the chisel, the head here is mushroom. How it's mushroomed? Because we have been continuously hammering this thing. It is actually for that purpose. But the head has mushroom. So what has happened is like there have been small cracks have built in this chisel. So if sometimes like accidentally, if a guy, a carpenter or a mason or any worker hits on the side of this one, this small piece can break down, and it can just lodge into our eyes, or it can go in our face or in our neck. And you won't believe the speed when this one breaks out and it comes at the speed of a bullet. I have seen, it's a real life fact, when I was working in my previous company, I have seen one of our mechanics, he was hammering something, and this thing broke out, and it went in his shoulder like this, tearing his t-shirt, through his t-shirt. He did not even know until his blood came out like this. He was lucky that it did not burst his heart. So it's that much sharp, it's that much, both of them right now. What we need to do is, when we feel that, when we see, when we are checking every day morning our tools, when we are delivering these tools to our people, what we have to do, we have to check these small things. We don't have to overlook these things, because if we overlook these things, this small thing is going to create a lot of trouble, God forbid. So what is the thing, what is the corrective measure that we need to take is, we have grinders in the side, we have cutters in the side, that steel cutters. You can go and you can cut off this head, use it again. But this one, it needs same like this one for protective. This one, without this, you cannot use this one. And here also, just cut it off. Once the mushroom head is cut it off, you have a new base. You have a new base to hit on. Okay. So before you bring it to the side, make sure you cut it. Okay, and make sure you add here this hand protection, this round one. So if the hammer misses, we hit on the rubber. Okay.
I need to add something. Guys, why we came here every day just discuss about the hands? Why? Because the most accidents in RC projects, just about the hands. That's why we are here, discuss every day about the hands. Put that one in your mind and share this with your people, please.
Okay, guys. So now we are going to start with the today's topic. It's about the pinch point. So as per the RC agenda, so today what we have to do is like we have to discuss this toolbox, and after discussing this toolbox, as we have to discuss this hazard assessment, hand hazard assessment checklist. If everyone has a copy over here, right? I place the copies on the table. You can see it. You have to fill them. So today we have to fill these two checklists and this toolbox we have to discuss, and afterwards you guys are going back to your respective groups as you have been going before, and you guys are going to discuss these things what we are going to discuss over here. Then you are going to take the signatures of your people. Once they understand, it's not only a formality, guys. We have to understand, this is not only a formality that we are doing right now. It's not a formality. We are giving our time every day morning here. We are spending our 1 hour. It should not go in vain. It should not be wasted. We have to take the full advantage of this 1 hour. Anything that I learn from you guys or that you learn from us over here, please make sure that we are using it in full. We are using this time in a very good way. We are not here to waste the time, or we are not here to sit in an AC room and talk about something and do nothing on the ground. There should be something done on the ground. That's why we are here. There should be some changes on the ground. That's why we are here. So make sure you guys are discussing all these things that we are talking about here at the site. So let's start. from the toolbox talk. The first thing is the toolbox talk. So today's topic is about pinch points. We had lately, last day before yesterday, we had talked about this pinch points, but at the time it was just a brief thing that I told you about the pinch points. Maybe today we are going to expand it a bit. So the hands and the fingers are the most often injured parts of the body. As Engineer Wright said right now, why we are here, why we are doing this campaign right now here, why we are all the supervisors here, we are here, only we are here because the RC found out, as per the reports they are receiving, that most of the injuries that are occurring in the RC right now in these days is hand injuries. Okay, and we all know that hands are the most important parts in our body. We use it for many activities, even except from the work. Lot of activities, everyone knows. Okay, these are few work activities which do not involve the hands. The potential for the injury is always there, and we must be constantly aware to avoid hand injury. There are few work activities. Okay, the primary way to avoid injury is to ensure that hands are kept out of danger zone or pinch point. So the first way, the primary way, the first and the foremost way to avoid a hand injury is to keep our hands out of the way of danger, out of the danger zone, away, and the buffer zone between. See, very good, Mr. Chandana, you brought it over here. It's going to help me a lot in this toolbox. So, what's the, see, what they are saying, the primary way to avoid injury is to ensure that hands are kept out of the danger zone. Hand is already out of the danger zone to some extent, not all. It includes other parts also, but to some extent, with this cap, our hand is almost out of the danger zone. But if we are not using this and we are using this, our hand is like, it's exposed to the hazards, it's exposed to any hit that's going to occur. Okay, not only about this one, any pinch point, any load that we are carrying, any formworks that we are shifting, anything at the site, even a small block if we are shifting that, a small block, it's not that much of a load, a block is not that much of a load, but still it has got the pinch points. So what is a pinch point? Any point in between your finger, your skin will get caught, which can lead to an injury. Pinch, it's not making any injury. Getting caught under a load, a specific load, and getting hurt, or anything that has the potential to cause harm underneath, to catch anything or to crush anything, that's a pinch point. We have to take care, we have to keep this thing in mind. Okay, so the primary way is to keep our hands out of those if we can, practically, if it is practically possible, keep our hands out of that way. Use a mechanical aid, use anything else, use a different process, use a different method as mentioned in the previous checklists. So that is the primary way, that's the first way. Okay, you guys are all understanding me? Please come fast and close the door. It's like I cannot concentrate over here. Okay, so are you guys understanding me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, if there is any question related to what I'm speaking right now, please let me know. I'll be most happy to answer it right now. Okay, so the first thing what we are going to do is like we are keeping our hands out of the danger zone, the primary thing. At a pinch point is any area where one's body can become trapped or smash it between two objects or machines. See, like I said, where our body or any body part can get trapped or smashed. Let it be a machinery, let it be a load, as I had said before also. The belts, the pulleys, that's mechanical, right? So we don't want to put our hands somewhere where we don't know what is there. So the primary way is to keep your hands away. What are the some examples of pinch points? See, boss, the thing is, unless and until we don't understand what a pinch point is, unless and until we don't know what pinch points are, unless and until we don't know that in our activities where the pinch points are, we are never going to be making it a safe practice, and we are never going to be able to know how we are going to do it in a safe and proper way. So the first and foremost thing is to know the pinch point hazards. The pinch points of, if you see anything, if you see even a small thing in front of you, on which you have to work, you should be able to assess at the very moment that does it have a pinch points, where it has its pinch points, how it's going to entangle my finger, how it's going to entangle my whole arm, how it's going to entangle my clothes, and it will take me in. So when we know the hazards, when we know the risks associated to the tasks, automatically the corrective measures will come in mind. And if you know the hazard and you don't know the corrective measure, there are safety representatives at your side. I'm always available. My safety officer is always available. Our managers are always available. Go ahead, speak up, ask for the corrective measures, ask for these things. How we are going to perform it in a safe way, to be the best, to prove the safety excellence that we are up to something. Okay, what are some examples of the pinch points? Some examples of the pinch points is between suspended loads and other objects, stacking boxes, moving pipes or steel, sprockets, sorry, I don't know this one, doors, tailgates, gears, rotating machinery, anywhere in the path of an object carrying potential energy. See what Engineer Hari said last time, anywhere in the path of an object carrying potential energy. Last time Engineer Hari said that a cable reel, a cable drum, it has already the stoppers placed there. So that means the potential energy in that, if it is on the slope, is stopped by those stoppers. But the thing is that it has the energy inside it. Once you remove the stoppers and it starts rolling, the energy starts to come.
Hidden potential energy.
Okay? So if we get under this one, we are going to get crushed, or our hands are going to get crushed, our arms are going to get crushed. Not only the cable drums, I'm not giving examples of only cable drums. I spoke about the block. I am speaking about the curbstone. That is, one block is equivalent to 50 kgs of weight. Yani only one block and half of another block, that's my load. That's my weight. Just 1.5 block. And it's a big weight. It's a concentrated weight. So we have to make sure why we are using the curb lifter to place the curbstone at the place. Why we are not telling the guys, okay, 2 guys lift one curbstone and put it there. No, because there is blinding underneath. There is a concrete underneath. That's a hard surface underneath. And when we put this, for example, this 50 kg block, and when at the point of releasing your hand can get trapped under that. And 50 kg of load is not a less load. It's enough to crush your finger. It's enough to make a fracture. Even it's enough to totally devastate your fingers. Okay, what can you do to prevent pinch point injuries? Now we know. Now everyone knows what's a pinch point.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we can assess in our activities. You can do the job hazard analysis, job hazard assessment before you start. You can know where the pinch points are. We can do it, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sure?
Yes, sir.
Sure? If I'll ask a question, we can answer? What can you do to prevent pinch point injuries? Let's come to the point, this one. 360 degree circle check to ensure both you and your hands are away from any pinch points. And we have to let our workers know, and we have to bear this thing also in our own mind. Before we start an activity, we have to check around that my workers' hands are always away from any pinch point areas. Till practically possible. Okay? Or we can have this anti-crash gloves, but they are not practical anyways. Still there is going to be any injury, and even if gets trapped in some heavy objects. Wear gloves that are appropriate for the task. See, we can do our best at least to let our people to wear the hand gloves to minimize. See, the PP, I will tell you one thing. PP is the last resort of any risk. PP is the last resort of any risk that is in the site, and any corrective measures that we take. We are doing substitution, that's the first one, and substitution, isolation, then we go for the engineering controls, After engineering controls, we go for the administrative controls, and after administrative controls, there are some other controls. After that one, we go to the PPE. PPE is the last resort. Okay, but we have to make sure that PPE is being worn. See, PPE is not going to save us 100%, but it is going to reduce the potential of the injury, the injury that can happen. If an injury that is going to happen to my hand and the cut that is going to come on my hand, a wound, if there, without hand gloves, if I will have a 3 centimeter deep wound, with hand gloves maybe I will have just an abrasion. With hand gloves maybe I'll just have a small minor cut. So why is that? That means PPE is important. PPE should be given importance. See, there are a lot of activities. I talked about substitution, I talked about engineering controls, I talked about administrative controls. All these things we are first considering in our risk assessment, our job hazard analysis, okay, our JSA, job safety analysis. We are checking it. We are putting it there. So before the start of work, we are already considering administrative controls, we are already considering engineering controls, we are already considering substitution, isolation, but additional corrective measures to that is PPE. That's important. So make sure that your people are wearing gloves, whether they are working in the site or they are not working in the site. Because anytime a worker, if he is staying in the site and he is not wearing a gloves, anytime at any time of the day you are going to go to him, hey, what are you doing here? Do that. He has no gloves on the hand, he sees his foreman, he sees his engineer, he rushes towards the work to work, and he forgets his hand gloves. So make sure the guys who are staying in the site, we are entering the site, you should be having the hand gloves on. They have the hand gloves on. He's standing somewhere, he sees you, he rushes towards the work, he lifts a block, he lifts a mortar bucket, he moves a wheelbarrow, no problem. He has his hand gloves on. He rushes towards his machine or any tool, any equipment, no problem. He has his hand gloves on. But the time the people start, realizing and nobody cares. Why do I care? Yesterday I was reading in Arab news. There was an accident in Jeddah. One Sri Lankan guy. He has been working from 10 years in a butcher shop. I'm not talking about construction, but he has been working for 10 years in a butcher shop. 10 years of experience. Yesterday I talked about inattention, right? This example is about the inattention. You know these grinding machines, they take out the minced meat. There's a plastic rod, plastic stick. When you put the meat inside and you press it with the plastic stick. What he tried, he put his hand, he pushed the meat with his hand, and his hand got stuck, and his hand became minced meat. They had to totally empty his total hand. Now he is handless, and he has 2 daughters. Back home, he has 2 daughters. He has to get them married. He needs money. What do you think, without one hand, what he is going to do with his left hand? Because he worked for 10 years, he did not pay attention. I said, okay, it's all right. So guys, we have to think. Accidents happen. It's not like accidents don't happen. Accident is a reality. Accident is a reality, and we have to know that accident is a reality. In our lives, how many of us have met an accident? I have met an accident, many accidents before. No one can tell me here that nobody had an accident before. Any accident at home, in your room, on your bed, even falling from your bed is an accident. So please pay attention. Think about your workers. It's not only you guys have family, they have families too, they have children too. Ensure that you have sufficient clearance when setting down loads or carrying loads through doors. See, doors. Our doors here are like 1 meter by 1 meter or 100 centimeters, something like that. So when we are carrying any load or when we are bringing any loads, for example, me and Engineer Roy, we are carrying a books. And without seeing we saw there's a door. Okay, Engineer Roy, let's move through this one. We don't know that the door's clearance is 100 centimeters. Like a door is 100 centimeter wide, and our box is 99 centimeters, and our hands are like this, and we are moving. Boom, thak. I'm the one. Okay, my fingers got caught on the door. This
Dot
we
right.
call it.
Dot right.
What do you call it?
Dot
Door
right.
frame.
Door frame.
Yeah, door frame. My fingers got caught in the door frame, and the load that we were carrying is 100 kgs, and the force of 100 kgs by moving. Thak. What will happen to my fingers?
Cut.
They will be crushed. You have to plan ahead. You have to think. You have to check if there is enough clearance to move your things. Teach your workers. Teach your people. Let them know. Let them care for themselves. We think for example, moving aside 1 minute, I'm sorry. We think, like, for example, safety glass. What's the fun of using a safety glass, or what's the fun of using a helmet we are working under the direct sun. What's the use of using this our helmets? The first and foremost thing, most of our helmets are UV protected. The first thing that our helmets do, they protect us from ultraviolet radiation. Anyways, leave it aside. The second thing, you stay under a sun, naked headed. In the evening when you sleep, you will have a headache. Our helmet is blocking the sun. Anyways, if something is not going to fall from the sky, something is going to come out of a tire of a vehicle once it's moving, and is going to hit your head. It's going to hit your any part of the body. I will not say again a real experience, because you guys will think that I am lying, but trust me, I was hit with a small stool here. On the road, I was standing on the roadside, a car passed by, a small pebble came onto the tire, and it got like some kind of a force, and it came directly. Alhamdulillah, it was a small pebble, and it hurt me a lot at that time, but it did not cause any damage. Alhamdulillah. So it could have hit me here, it could have hit me here, it could have hit me here, causing a wound or something. So don't underestimate anything. Everything that is here is for some reason. The guys who are recommending us, the guys who are recommending these things, they are not crazy. The guys who have prepared this International Labour Organization standards, ILO standards, ASNI standards, these OSHA standards, NIBOSH standards, all these standards, the guys sitting over there, they are not crazy. They know why, what is it, why it happened, why they started safety, why they started HSE. To minimize the risk to the people, to minimize these things, to the exposure of, minimize the exposure to the hazards. So all these things, they contribute towards the safety of the people. Always allow enough room to work safely. And let your guys to work safely, and don't pressurize them, don't push them or something. Give them enough space to work. Okay, guy, you are working here, work safely. The scaffolding is over here, work on it in a safe, proper way. Okay? Don't take shortcuts or all these things. Don't congest all the people. I need to finish this room and bring 20 masons here and start plastering. You cannot finish it. You'll finish it without quality. You'll finish it without safety. So please, use the correct tool for the task. Correct tool but unsafe tool. Incorrect tool.
Nowadays substituted by electrical jackhammer.
Yeah, we can do that. We can use small jackhammers. Okay. Even if you have small minor activities, and if you cannot use a jackhammer, you think that using a jackhammer is going to cause more damage, at least you can use a safe tool. You can use a safe tool. See guys, first hand protection assessment, I have already told you how to do it, and alhamdulillah I received some of the copies yesterday also and today morning also from you guys, and most of you have filled it correctly and in an honest way, and I appreciate that. And I would everyone has filled it yesterday?
Yes.
Everyone?
Yes.
So today I want that copy, okay? So today you have to fill this one also, and let's discuss about this the new checklist. Everyone has this checklist? Yeah, it's an easy one. I have gone through this one. It's it's specific to your task, to your activities. From my point of view, it's generic, but from on your specific activities, it depends upon us how we think about it. You can make it specific to your tasks. Okay, guys? So, the first question in the hand protection hazard assessment checklist 2 that you guys have to fill it here, you have to fill both of them today. Yesterday one that you filled, that's a separate thing that you have to give me. But this thing you have to fill it today. So, gentlemen, you guys, if you would like, you can fill it here, keeping in view, make a picture of your jobs that you have started in your site today. Make a picture of that one in front of you, bring the visuals in front of you, okay, and fill it as per that one. I'm just going to read one by one. I'm going to give some extra words to this these points, and then you decide and you fill it. Okay, guys? Okay, guys? Not everyone can match the same thing. Don't say like, I'll say, okay, it is yes, and you'll put yes. It can be no, as per your visuals, as per your back there in the work. Okay, or has hand tools risks posed by use of hand tools, or hand tools risks posed by use of hand tools and portable tools identified within the start cards?
Yes.
Are these things in the start cards?
Yes.
Yes.
So, everyone knows who here is filling the start card. Who is doing the start cards here?
Foreman.
Who is doing the start cards here, guys?
All foreman.
You are embarrassing me. Come on, who is doing the start cards here? All of us.
Yes.
Okay. So when you are filling the start cards in the morning, is there anything mentioned about the hand tools?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, there is a separate column for the hand tools,
Yeah.
electrical tools and as well as hand tools.
Yes.
Okay, so the answer for this one is yes. Is there a location to remove all the damaged homemade and defective hand tools?
Yes.
Is there a location?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, there is. And
Yes.
it's not about like you are saying yes. Where we are putting it? Where you are keeping your defective hand tools?
Stop.
Store.
MashaAllah. Yes. Okay. With tags, huh?
Yeah, with tags.
Storekeeper is the one who is putting the tags. So this is the thing here in so the second part I was going to talk about is like when you guys see that your hand tool or your electrical tool or any tool is defective, your hammer is broken, don't go to a welder, weld it, bring it to the store, return it back to the store, take the new one, then the storekeeper, he knows his responsibility, what he has to do with that one. Don't allow your people to use a defective hammer, use a defective hand tool. Wallahi, believe me, this thing can cause a lot of damage. Are all hand tools, portable tools and equipments used as per intended purpose?
Yes.
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 Are you using, for example, a cutting disc for cutting, not for grinding, a grinding disc for grinding, not for cutting?
Yes.
Are you using a hammer for hammering or something else? So that means this question is asking that if this chisel is for chipping, you are doing chipping only. You are not using it for something else. Okay? So it's yes.
Yes.
And one more thing, guys, I want to remind you about the grinders. So I have got the opportunity right now, all of us are here. So it's a very good information that everyone should actually know, because in the coming days when we are using the tiles, when these things, we might need to know about these things. See, our grinders or our cutters, they have a capacity, they have a speed. Their speed, it's mentioned on the sticker, on that one. Like 5,000 rounds per minute, RPM, or like 8,000 rounds per minute. So the grinder has its own speed. And then when you take a disc, when you take a disc to put in this grinder, a cutting disc or a grinding disc, and if you will see on the back side of that disc, it has its own rate, it has its own speed rounds, RPMs.